We're super excited to be here. We're stoked to be here at LinkedIn with you guys. In fact, we're so stoked that we want to give $100 away to anyone who's most engaged in social media. That's why we're here, right? So what we're going to do is whoever follows me or Gabe and shares one thing that they really took away from this session and gets the most social engagement, whether it's through Twitter or LinkedIn, we've got our team in the back who's going to analyze this, and at the end, we're going to let you know who that is. So come see us, and we'll give you that $100. My name is Jake Rennie. I am the enterprise sales manager for HireVue Accelerate. I've been with HireVue for about a year and a half, and before that, I've been in SaaS for roughly 2 years, and then I did 10 years in medical device. So in medical device, I had no clue about social media, and my good man Gabe here, a good friend of mine, we go way back before SSI was even a thing, and the hat was on backwards. He taught me everything I know, and that's what's really helped me get to where I'm at. So it's an honor for me to introduce Gabe and have him kick it off and work on this presentation together.
All right, thanks, Jake. Let's do this. Let's get everybody standing up. Let's get some blood flowing. Everybody, for reals, get up. How many of you, okay, and remain standing, how many of you have climbed Mount Everest? If you haven't, sit down. Okay, just kidding. Stand up again. That's not part of it. Okay, so the real question is, remain standing if you believe you have a social selling process in your organization. Okay? So remain standing if you believe you have a world-class social selling organization. Okay, great. So everybody look around you. The people who are standing up right now are doing it right. The people who are standing up have a process, okay? And you need to talk to them after this session, okay? For those of you who are sitting down, right, I hope that we cover really good insights, that we'll share the how-to and why and what of social selling. So you guys can sit down. Okay, so great, let's get to it. I want to start out with a story about a guy nicknamed Green Boots. And in 1996, this is a real-life story. Him and his friends start climbing Mount Everest. And for some reason, he got left behind. And as he's climbing, he decided to take a break. And long story short, he fell asleep and froze to death. Okay, not a happy ending, but I'm going to tie this to social selling in just a second. So how does this all relate to it? As you or your sales team start climbing your social selling Mount Everest mountain, okay, make sure you don't stop till you get to the top. It's very easy to get carried away with social selling, but again, don't stop till you get to the top and you close deals. So let me tell you about my background and my social selling Mount Everest journey that I've had to climb over the past 3 to 5 years. Okay, like Jake said, I currently work at HireVue. I'm the social selling trainer. Okay, I'm in the trenches with our sales reps demoing. I'm in sales enablement calls. I'm training our sales reps on a day-to-day basis. Okay, how to use social media to close deals. How to use social media, specifically LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Twitter and other channels, to accelerate the sales process. Okay, so I've also, my sales career started at Nu Skin. I was an inside sales rep for about 3 years. Okay, after that, I went to Southwest Airlines and learned about marketing and social media, and that's where my passion really began with those types of marketing aspects. Okay, after that, I joined InsideSales.com. And most recently, I've been helping out sales teams and individuals from Qualtrics, Domo, and Instructure. Utah SaaS startups, our startup culture there is awesome. But I want to tell you more about my journey at InsideSales.com. That's where my social selling foundation began in 2012. So I came on board as a lead gen rep. Okay, I was making a lot of outbound and inbound cold calling. And what happened was, after being there for 3 weeks, I realized there had to be a better way of cold calling and actually cold emailing because we were not getting the results we wanted. But every day, we're being measured on how many dials we're making per day. How many activities are we doing per day, but we're not getting the results we want. Okay, so after learning what I learned at Southwest Airlines, why can I use social media and implement it into the buying process to accelerate the whole sales process? Okay, so after doing that for about a month, I was killing it. I was in the top 5 sales reps for 3 months consecutives. And what happened is my managers were asking me what I was doing. The president of Inside Sales, Ken Krogh, and CEO, was asking me, Gabe, what is it that you're doing? And the simple answer, back in 2012, 2013, I'm just using social media, specifically LinkedIn and Twitter and other tools, to actually intercept the buying process, okay, and educate the buyer to actually close more deals, to set more appointments. So you may be facing with some of these problems right now, but this is what we were facing back then. Okay? 90% of decision makers say they never respond to cold outreach. Okay, we just heard about that from CEB. So one of the strategies we did to overcome this, right, was to do 3 things. Identify who your buyer is on LinkedIn and Twitter and other channels, connect with your buyer on LinkedIn and Twitter, and engage with them. If you do those 3 steps, we realize, and then you cold call them, they know who you are, they've been expecting you, and if you do it in the right way, you're going to have a pleasant conversation. That's one of about a dozen strategies that we've implemented to overcome this statistic right here. Another one is 76% of sales emails are never opened. Okay, so why is it that on a day-to-day basis, raise your hand if in your organization you measure how many sales emails you send or how many cold calls you do per day? Raise your hand. Okay, why are we still doing that? Like, why are we still measuring that as a metric for success? Okay, so what happened is we started messaging people. Okay, whenever you send somebody a LinkedIn message specifically, guess what? It gets notified on their phone. It gets notified to their email. It also notifies them on their desktop notifications. So it's almost like 3 emails with 1 message. Okay? Why aren't we doing more LinkedIn messages? Why aren't we sending more in-mails to actually increase this? So while we did a test, we increased response rates by 30% by actually using LinkedIn messages. One of my favorite studies that we did in 2012, and they actually do this every year, we analyzed the effectiveness of certain lead generation channels versus their adoption rate. Okay? And as you can see here, on the bottom right-hand quadrant, we see that Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn were overused but underutilized. So to my amazement, I was like, how is it that people back in 2012 are claiming that LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook are not useful, or they don't find it useful for lead generation? And here at InsideSales.com, we're killing it. So then I took it as a personal mission to take social media, specifically LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and add value and show the whole world how there's value, specifically in the buying moment, where you can listen, engage, and capitalize on your buying signals. Okay? So let's talk about how data trumps intuition. If you guys are not using data in your sales process, then again, you're missing out. But it's going to make things a lot easier. Looking at Google Trends, we see that social selling since 2007 has been on the rise. What this shows is how many people are searching for this term social selling and how many people are searching for the term cold calling. Okay? And this is data. This is real. Cold calling is going downhill, and social selling is increasing. So we can easily predict that in 3 to 5 years or less, right, social selling is going to pass cold calling. One key indicator out of many more that I could show you that social selling is on the rise, and if you don't have a process, you're missing out. Okay, so let's talk about the solution and some other data. 5.4 people are now involved in the average B2B buying process. Okay, well, guess what? If I want to get a 5.4 people in an account, am I going to cold call 5 people 20 times per day? No, that's going to be impossible. So this is bad news for everybody who's raised their hand that they're using traditional prospecting methods. Okay, again, 57% of the buying process is complete, meaning by the time a customer contacts a supplier, they've already made up their mind as to what things they should do or what things they want. Okay, again, these are very bad news. You might cry yourself to sleep if you're actually using traditional prospecting to achieve these type of results. Okay, but if you actually use social selling and have a specific plan, which I'm about to show you, and Jake's about to deep dive in the how, you're going to get a lot of awesome results. So the solution, okay, let's spend a few minutes on the specific solution. We compare traditional versus social, and a lot of us buy lists. How many of you buy lists? Okay, honestly, this should be a lot higher than that. I mean, come on. You don't have to admit it. It's okay. But a lot of us buy lists to contact people, either ZoomInfo or anyway. There's a ton of other buying lists, and they get us nowhere, or they get us to a certain degree, but it's a numbers game. Okay. A lot of us do random contacts. We're blocked by gatekeepers. We rely on cold calling scripts. We have specific sales template emails that people copy and paste. My favorite is when people send you a sales email and they just change the first line and it's different font. And you're like, dude, are you serious? You totally copied and pasted. You could try a little harder, right? Well, I'm not saying completely stop doing traditional prospecting. What I'm saying is, why don't we merge both worlds and get the best of both worlds, okay? How can we do, for example, cold call a little bit or send a few cold emails and intercept, right, with social selling. A lot of people are like, yeah, but I'm gonna social sell, this is amazing. And guess what? I don't have to cold call anymore. I don't have to do all this stuff that my boss wants me to do. Well, guess what? You're an idiot, you're gonna get fired, okay? First of all, you have to have a process, but second of all, you have to mix the both, because we're not there, in the B2B landscape, we're not there yet to completely ditch traditional prospecting. Because there's Gen X, there's baby boomers, Gen Ys, there's a lot of people in the landscape right now. Okay, so the social selling process that's taken me 3 to 4 years to build, and I'm about to show it to you in this specific slide. If you were to take anything out of this whole 45 minutes that we're with, you might want to take pictures of this at the end or whatever right now. So the social selling process that I came out with is, number one, your sales organization needs to know what the heck social selling is. And stay in this stage until your guys know where social selling has been, where it's at, and where it's headed, okay? Number two, every profile in your company, and Microsoft did a really good example of how to optimize your profile for your buyer, not for your recruiter, but for your buyer. How can you actually have the right keywords, have this right profile layout on LinkedIn? How can you have the right rich media types? Because LinkedIn allows us to put rich media types. Nobody likes to read a long, boring profile, right? Insert videos, insert slideshows, insert PDFs, insert visuals that are pleasing to the eye and things of that nature. For example, one of my favorite stories back in the day when I was looking for a job, I was applying, and the recruiter, after the interview was over, asked me, he's like, hey, dude, good job on that magic show you did over the weekend. And I saw are you a clown over the weekend? And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, what do you, oh, dude, I Googled you, and I put Gabriel Villamizar, and you came up, and you're in this YouTube video. So I'm like, dude, that's not me, I don't know what's going on. So I went home, actually on the elevator on my way down, I Googled Gabe Villamizar, and so it'd be this dude named Gabe Villamizar in South America was ranking for my name. And I'm like, I have to pwn this Gabe Villamizar who's pretending to be me because he's ruining my reputation, okay? So long story short, I optimized my LinkedIn profile, and right now whenever people type Gabe Villamizar, I'm on every search engine result, so make sure that I beat anybody else who's trying to be me. So that might be a little bit harder if you have a popular name, but my point is, LinkedIn has a ton of SEO value that your whole organization can take a part of. What if at the top of your profile, of every single employee, they upload like the main 2-minute explainer video of your organization, and you have 20,000 employees? That would be powerful. How many YouTube views would you get in a day, right? But you have to get everybody on board with the same branding, speaking the same language, etc. Number 3, social listening. Okay, how can you listen for the right trigger events? Okay, job change and other things of that nature. How can you listen for the right words on Twitter, the right hashtags? Okay, a lot of you are very surprised when I say Twitter, and people are like, oh no, that's B2C, dude, that's not B2B. Well, I'm here to tell you Twitter is a gold mine, actually, but you need to know how to use Boolean search and how to use the search feature in a way to show you the right people at the right time. One of my favorite stories about that is we would track our competitors' top 5 keywords. Okay? If you're in marketing, if you don't know your competitors' top 5 keywords that they try to rank for, or they're trying to actually score more wins with, then you're missing out. So we identified the top keywords, we put them in a little search in TweetDeck, and what happened was, whenever their customers, our competitors' customers' servers would crash, they would complain and say, I hate XYZ, I hate it. I would then grab everybody, find them on LinkedIn, and send them to the sales guys, and sales guys would love talking to those people. And it was very, very effective talking to our competitors' customers when they're mad. They were actually very open, and we closed a few deals out of that. Next is social engagement. So how can you actually, once you identify who your buyer is, you start listening, how can you engage in a non-creepy way, okay? Social media can make us look very, very dumb, and you can come across like a total weirdo, guaranteed. A story that happened about this was my good friend was actually meeting with a buyer, and because you can find so much data, you can actually do a lot of damage. And when he met with the buyer, he said, hey, congratulations on your marriage. And the woman was like, what? What are you talking about? So apparently he went on Twitter and LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, found out that she got married over the weekend, okay? And that totally weirded her out. And there's like a 2-minute silence gap, okay? My point is, come across normal as you would do face-to-face, okay? And engage the right way on the right channel. And the last step, right, is social commitment. A lot of us, right, sometimes are in the friend zone too long, okay? And what happens in the friend zone, you get no action, okay? That's literally what happens. It's true. I've been there, and it sucks. But you have to decide social media is not just hugs and kisses. You have to decide, okay, am I here to add value, reduce costs, and increase revenue? Or am I here just to really just make relationships? We talk about relationships so much, but we don't focus on the ROI. We don't move the needle, okay? And this does move the needle. The best way to track that is by specifically doing tracking and KPIs. Have specific goals, have specific transparent metrics that your sales organization is going to be held accountable for, okay? So for example, how can you track your social activity on Salesforce or your CRM of choice? How can you actually meet your goals and integrate traditional selling with social selling? So my man Jake's gonna come on stage right now and deep dive into the how-to. I just briefly covered the why and some of the how, but reps like Jake, right, have taken this specific methodology, made it their own, and have actually killed it in the space. And our social selling culture has been amazing, okay? So sales reps have taken a specific structured approach, made it their own, and are killing it. So Jake's gonna expand a little bit more on that. And it's all about the leads at the end of the day. All right.
Actually, my man Kosakowski over here would say it's all about the revenue, right? So you take the leads and you turn it into revenue.
It doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
That's right. So one of the things that really stuck out to me yesterday in Mike's keynote was that he said, social selling early adopters see the future, okay? How is that? I want to talk to you about how we do that. Guys like me, we're in the trenches every single day. We're the doers. We're actually the ones carrying the bag and getting this shit done. Like, this is what we do, right? We're not trying to implement it with our team. This is how we keep our job. And so the way we see the future is by going back to the future. Right? The first thing is you've got to have systems and process in place. That's your speed. That's your sales velocity. Gabe talked about that. The next thing is that you've got to have your flux capacitor if you're going back to the future, right? What this is your methodology. You've got to have methodology in place within your sales organization. The next thing is you bring that all together, your systems, your process, your methodology. That's how we get back to the future, baby. That's how we do this in sales. So you've got to pull it all together. Now, let's go back and talk about the original buyer experience, the way the process is done. The individual buyer, as it used to be, would reach out to a vendor, get educated, and then start putting information together, providing that up to their management, and then engage in a conversation about pricing and discount. It was so simple. That was easy. Boy, howdy, do I wish, if this was the same way it was being done, I would close so much more. But it's changed. It's changed a lot. So now is a buying team, right? Brent just talked to us about how we've moved from 1 buyer to 5.4. I mean, that's extremely complicated. Now, they go out and they gather information, and one of the really interesting things that he said is it's not about tailoring to each individual buyer, but it's tailoring to the broader message of what they're trying to accomplish. Now, this to me is super interesting because they're going to go out and gather separate information. They're going to fragment what they really want to agree on, and then they're going to come together and most likely disagree on a lot of it, and then they're going to reach out to the vendor. And I'm going to get that call, and they're going to say, hey, Jake, I need pricing. I've never even talked to you before. How many of you are now starting to get phone calls from vendors, and the first thing they want to do when they talk to your SDR is talk pricing? I just need pricing. I was like, I hate that. That drives me nuts. I'm not going to give you price in the first conversation. We haven't even talked ROI. We haven't even talked value. You don't even know what really is what we do. So we're comparing apples to oranges with competitors. So my job is to figure out how to embed myself earlier on in the buying process. I've got to get in earlier and figure out what it is that they're looking for when they're educating themselves, right? So they're out there on social media, and they're talking on LinkedIn groups. They're asking for advice. They're asking for insight. Hey, what are you guys doing? Who's seen this? Who's found a tool that does this? I can easily find them there. What about Twitter? They're using hashtags, right? They're complaining about their current vendor. I need to figure out where they're at and then embed myself, educate them through this process. So by the time they pick up the phone and they call me, I'm the one who's educated them through what the solution should look like. If I don't do it, my competitor's going to do it. Who would you rather educate your buyer? You or your competitor, right? And then when they pick up the phone and call me, it's a value conversation. It's not a pricing conversation because they've already understood the value of what you have to offer. In order to accomplish this, you need to have tools. I've got a 7-year-old son. His name's Dash. He's the coolest kid in the world. Super smart, super, super smart kid. And he loves playing Minecraft. The other day, I was sitting down. If any of you got little kids, he's sitting in my lap, Dad, you got to see this, you got to see this. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take a look. And then he puts his iPad in my face, and I'm looking at it, and he goes, Dad, look what I did. I built a roller coaster. I'm thinking, this is cool. My 7-year-old son built a roller coaster. He's like, yeah, look, and it makes a loop. I'm thinking, this can't be easy. I said, how do you do it? And he goes, Dad, you've got to know your tools. Like, duh. And I'm thinking, you've got to know your tools. And it's funny because here's my 7-year-old dropping knowledge on me about I've got to know my tools, how to get my job done. So our job as leaders, as enablement, to give those tools and make those resources available to our sellers. So the way that we do this at HireView, or one of the methodologies that I've developed is through this acronym, which I call LEAD. Right? And I'm going to break this down and how I do. So first, it's listening. Gabe talked about that a little bit. But how do we actually listen? There are several tools out there that make this possible. And why do we do this? Because like I said, they're out there asking for information. There's so much buyer data in the social selling ocean that one drop of blood and I'm on you. And I'm a shark. And I'm going to get in there. I'm going to get in there before my competitor does. Right? So here's an example of how I do it. My first question is, I want you guys to take a stab. Who has an idea of how many apps that LinkedIn actually has on the App Store? How many tools that they provide? Take a stab at it.
8.
Who else has a guess?
10.
A little bit high. One more guess. 9. 9? Right on. There's 9 apps on the App Store that you can use. 5 of these apps are actually great for social selling. And actually, I just received a notification. I think there's going to be one more for LinkedIn groups. That's going to be awesome. So the way I use it is it's a mix between a lot of these. Here's an example. I use the Connected app. This is a great tool for listening. The Connected app is going to tell me when there's been a promotion, or when they're in a new role at a new company, or when there's important information coming out about the organization. I'll get an email about that. Even when they have a birthday. Not when they get married, though, Gabe. But when they have a birthday. And I'm going to capitalize on that opportunity. A lot of us probably already know this, but are you just saying congrats and posting that common message? Or are you taking advantage to customize that and even take that to the next step? So the next thing is I customize that message. Hey, I'm wishing you the best. Here's one of my actual buyers who used to be more of an influencer, and now he stepped into a leadership role as a decision maker. And we take it out from the main feed, and now we're talking one-on-one through InMail. And he said, hey, Jake, thanks for reaching out, man. Let's get engaged. Let's continue this conversation in my new organization where I have more money and I can make the decision, right? So we took it to the next step. Another thing is TweetDeck. Who uses TweetDeck here? If you don't use TweetDeck, you need to. This is a great way to listen through Twitter, right? And there's a couple reasons why. There's 3 ways that you should be listening. 1, on the defense. You need to be thinking defensively. You need to be thinking, what if people are complaining about our brand? Or what if I need to follow my competitors, right? So I can put lists here of my competitors' brands, and I can listen to what they're doing. I can see their strategies. I can put hashtags, and I can follow those hashtags in here. Additionally, I can use Boolean searches. I'm curious. Who believes that they're actually a pro at Boolean searches? You're lying. You guys, are you? I mean, that's like, literally, you've got to figure this out. But when you do, it's magic, because I can now search anyone who's talking about digital interviewing, anyone who's talking about video interviewing, anyone who's talking about anything that's any buzzword in our industry, and in one feed, I can follow everything that they're saying, and I can embed myself early on in the buying process, right? This is how I get in that process to educate them. Now, for you enterprise companies, there's a lot of cool tools that do this on a way bigger scale. So you've got Adobe Marketing Cloud that can do this. There's a great tool called Nuvi app. There's another great tool called R-Factor is another great one. There's another great tool called Sprout Social. So there's so many tools that you can use on a scalable way to do this at a brand level. The next thing is you got to engage. So, okay, you listen. Now you got to engage this buyer. And how do we do this effectively? So LinkedIn has told us that 72% of buyers use social media to research, right, while they're making that buying decision. But, here's a big but, right? There's always a but. 81% of buyers are more likely to engage with a strong professional brand. I'm not talking about the brand of your company. I'm talking about you as the brand. This is really important. Today's buyer wants to do business with me as the individual. Now, the marketing team is doing a great job, and they create great content, but ultimately, it's my job to distribute that to educate my buyer with insights. The marketing team can only do so much, but I am the brand that they want to associate with. And so it's important for me to establish that brand that's relevant. We've already talked about SSI. I'm not going to kill this, but let me talk to you about why this is important and how it's, to me, literally, I was stoked. Like, Gabe and I were sitting next to each other. We wanted to stand up and clap when they announced that this is going to be in your new dashboard for Sales Navigator. Why is that important? Because reps need to know what their brand is. If they don't know, they're totally out of luck. And so the important thing I want to focus on here, right there, do you see that? Is this area. This is going to tell you what you need to do to improve your personal brand. So, are you finding the right people? Are you engaging these people with insights? If not, I need to think about what am I doing? What am I not posting? How am I not engaging? I need to build better relationships. So this insight will help me get an idea of where I can be improving my personal brand so that buyers are 81% more likely to do business with me versus my competitor who's the magician in South America, right? So here are ways to engage. Recently, I'm also a vice president of the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals, and I put on an event about women in sales. And we had this cool event, and we reached out to a ton of people, and I tagged them specifically. You can do this on LinkedIn, you can do this on Facebook, you can do this on Twitter. And I noticed that one of the potential buyers I've been working with liked it. And this person was actually a CEO. And so what I did is I actually took it from LinkedIn, and I went over to Twitter. I sent him a private message. I said, hey, thanks for following me. If I can do anything, reach out. But I want to send you more information about this event. Here's the email that I have for you. And lo and behold, right, they reached back out and they gave me a better email address to send to them as a CEO. Now all of a sudden, I am engaged with them in a totally different environment in a way that they're more likely to respond to me. If I would have cold emailed him, do you think he would have responded to me? No way. I probably wouldn't even got to him because I had the wrong email address. Then I said, perfect, done. Not only that, I touted it, and I told him I touted it. I know when you're going to open that email, so you better respond to me, right? And then I said, here's my info if you need to reach out to me. Took it offline from social, and I went to email because you've got to move them through the process. You can't keep everything on social. It doesn't get done that way. Now, who's had this experience? That's the way to do it. This is the way not to do it. This makes me grumpy. Now, Gabe was talking about the way people do things wrong. Who gets this email? Every single day on LinkedIn, I get this massive, long email, has nothing to do with me, it's not been personalized, has nothing to do with my interests or what I do in my role. It's just this blast to me. And then they want to set up an appointment. I'm thinking, no way am I going to engage with this email. No way am I going to pay attention to this. You've lost me already. It has nothing personal. It's too long. I mean, I'm super ADD for this. Like my phone, most of my emails I read on my phone. I'm not going to read three pages of an email. Personalize it, make it simple. That's the only way you're going to engage. Simple is beautiful, right? Keep it clean. The next thing is you got to align with them. So you've engaged them. Now you got to align your interests with their interests, or their interests with your interests, and let them know you know who they are. Right? I want to hang out with you more. We want to work through this buying process together. So how am I going to get them to align with me more? Well, I've got to engage them with things that I know that are relevant to them. So this is why Gabe's developed what we call our 3x3 method, and why I believe it to be so effective. So the 3x3 method is, 1, find 3 things about your buyer that are relevant to your buyer, and in under 3 minutes of time. don't overthink it. Don't spend too much time, Googling it or finding their blog or reading on Facebook when they got married. This is too complicated. Keep it simple, right? And the ways I'm doing this is, one, I'm finding something personal about them. On LinkedIn, I can find out information about what school you went to. I can find out information about what nonprofits you spend time, donating your time to. There's so much I can find about you personally and what your interests are. Next is business, right? What is your business doing? What is your business doing to grow? What updates are there? What press releases have I found about you? I can pull insights from that. The next thing is industry. I need to provide industry insights to my buyer so that they know that I'm relevant and what I have to share is relevant. So you take this information, and here's how you do it. Here's a cold email or a warm cold email that I sent out to somebody. And the first thing is business. Hey, in a press release today, I saw that you're investing $28 million in 70 new jobs by 2020. I know this about you, right? Also, I want to talk to you about why 80% of your competitors are using video interviewing to find more top talent. This is what the industry is doing. Are you a laggard? And then ultimately, hey, I like Seahawks. I know LinkedIn says you like Seahawks. Hey, let's get together on something personal, right? Boy, howdy, I guarantee you this email will get you responses way more. And in the end, we've got to take action. If you're not taking action, none of this matters, right? And how do we take action? Well, we got to take it offline, not just hang out on social media. I couldn't help myself, okay? Star Wars season's coming up, so I got to put something, I got to give a shout out to my man Yoda, but you can't just try, you've got to do. And so there are a lot of different ways to do this. Don't have a lot of time left, so I was going to show you something else, but ultimately, take what you've learned, apply it, take it offline, get the buyer in an actual buying cycle, pick up the damn phone and talk to them, and get that deal closed. You've got to take action and do. So ultimately, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to hand it over to Gabe and talk about, finally, how to track this and get ROI out of it.
Awesome, let's do this. Hearing Jake gets me really pumped, so I'm excited to provide to you what tracking and ROI or results have we seen from this. A lot of people, again, think social selling and social media is a bunch of hugs, kisses, and relationships. I'm here to prove you wrong, okay? Well, this is what we've done, and this is another slide that is this is the secret sauce, guys. This is the stuff that, after connecting all the dots, being in sales, marketing, and social media, this is what we came up with. So, for example, our CRM of choice is Salesforce. We're able to track how many tweets or how many LinkedIn messages does it take to get an appointment? How many actions does it take to get a lead, okay? So we track that specifically on all social channels, and that's what it looks like, okay? Next is, in 2015, right, we generated $10.3 million in sales pipeline influenced by social selling and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, okay? This is huge. And we're still collecting all this data through the reporting methods and through our CRM of choice. So I want to wrap it up real quick with what does the challenge, as I came on to HireVue, and some of you may be facing this challenge, okay? There's no social selling process in your organization, and that's okay. You can begin somewhere, okay? There wasn't any tracking or no social selling culture. And to make it even worse, our CEO wasn't even really fully bought into this whole concept of social selling, okay? So we had to convince him and convince a few other executives that social selling does work. After he's seen these numbers, he's like, dude, let's do it. Let's dump more money. Anything you need, let's do it. But, right, so that was the challenge that we were facing when I came in a year and a half ago at HireVue. The solution, right, is to do tailored weekly, daily, or monthly trainings and coaching with different sales teams. Don't do the mistake of training everybody massively because everybody has different goals, everybody has different needs and wants, okay, and they want to achieve different things. Your setters want to set appointments. Your closers want to just close deals. And so you have to train them differently. And last but not least, the results. Again, 93% adoption in our sales team from social selling, once you have the structure that we just showed you. And examples like Jake, we have a dozen of those, or more like we have a lot of awesome examples of great social selling wins, et cetera. Like I said, 10.3 million in sales pipeline in 7 months, and Jake has actually closed the biggest mid-market deal within 24 hours, strictly through a LinkedIn interaction and Twitter, and then closed the deal, okay? And that was a $50,000 deal. Again, make sure that you involve yourself in the buying process. Listen, engage, and capitalize on your buying signals, okay? And you will win more deals. Thank you.
So I think we have some time for Q&A.
Yep.
So we'll, should we just
Yeah,
stand,
just line
is this
up and
awkward? Should we
yeah,
just stand up here
if you
like
have
this?
questions, then just.
All right, we're ready.
If not, then.
I think there's our mic, Sarah, right here. So if you have any questions, hit us up, let us know. Otherwise, these slides are going to actually be posted. I know that LinkedIn is going to be providing some of this recording, but they'll also be on this website. So if you want to go to this website, this is his consulting site, and you'll be able to access the slides there. And give us a couple days, and we'll put them up there as well.
All right, question? Yeah, or somebody's calling. There's a mic up there. Yeah, if you want to go to the mic
You
real
don't have
quick.
to.
Or we can repeat
Might
the
be
question.
awkward. Go for it.
Okay.
Well, true confessions, I have no clue how to use Twitter. And I'm in banking, and I don't know if Twitter, I use LinkedIn avidly, nice social selling index score, a little modest Facebook usage. But I just don't know if Twitter and my banking customers and prospects, if that's valuable to engage in. I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I've avoided Twitter, so. But if you can explain the value of it, I'm willing to spend the time to figure it out and engage.
Yeah, so what I've noticed, and it relates to most industries, right? And we get this all the time, like, hey, Gabe, my clients or buyers are not on. So let me get this clear. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the top tool where you need to have a presence and you need to be allocating most of your time. What we've noticed by adding specifically Twitter, we accelerated the whole sales process even further. Okay? A lot of people are, what about Facebook and all that? I don't care about that as much. I spend all of my energy training on specifically LinkedIn, but there's ways that you can really, by Boolean search, finding specific, if not your buyers, the people who influence your buyers. Okay? So that's how you can, yeah, I mean, they're there, and it's just a way of finding the right terms because we're all posting data, we're all taking selfies, we're all talking about our kids, and that stuff is out there on social media. Okay? So it's just a matter of searching the right keywords. So good question, yeah. Okay, awesome.
Let me build on that really quick. So who is your, when you said you're not sure if that's relevant to your buyer, who is your buyer? Who's your customer?
Manufacturers, distributors, low tech.
Okay, I'll guarantee you that every single one of them have headaches. I'll guarantee you, and I'll guarantee you that they have headaches with their current vendor that they're dealing with. And I'll guarantee you there's probably a good chunk of them that are using social media. And so even a starting point would be to get on and see what they're saying on Twitter, see if they have brand advocacy on there and engage that way. Because there might be different content that they're pushing through their social media channel on Twitter versus LinkedIn, and use that to engage. Listen to what they might be complaining about the current provider, the current bank that they're working with, right? So there's always a place to start, and I'm sure you'll figure it out. But don't be afraid of it. Just do it.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys.